Hey there, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create and set up DigitalOcean Spaces to store your static and media files for your Django application. This is usually done if you have many users with many different files associated with their profiles. So basically, if you have too many of those media files. And this way it helps you to scale up your application instead of storing those files on your app's server. So to start, you need a DigitalOcean account. If you don't have one yet, go ahead and sign up at digitalocean.com, and I will attach an affiliate link in the description box. Once you logged in, you need to head over to Spaces Object Storage, which is in your dashboard. And here we are creating a new Spaces bucket, which is basically similar to Amazon S3 buckets. And here we click on Create Spaces Bucket, and I choose my region to be New York, which is closest to me. I can choose to enable CDN, and this is going to make the loading of these files much faster. And I'm going to give it a name, let's say Test Website. And this is it. Now I can push this button called Create Spaces Bucket and it will be created. We also need to set up API keys. For that, you can go to this API tab in your dashboard, and here in Spaces Keys, you need to generate a new key, and let's call it again Test Website Spaces. And then just create these access keys. You will need both your secret key over here and the access key itself. So to use them, you need to export them into your environment variables. Usually if you are in the production mode somewhere on the production server, let's say it's Ubuntu, it will be in your bash.rc file. But because right now I'm on my local Mac, so I will use the bash.rc file to put this into the environment variables. For instance, first I need to copy the secret key, and I opened already the bash.rc file. But if you want to open it in your own VS Code, what you can do is just type in source_.bash.rc and it will open. So here this file is already prepared, and all that we need to export into our environment variables is laid out. First of all, I just copied the secret key over here, which I will put into Spaces secret part. Then next, I need to copy the access key and put it into the Spaces key part. The next thing is AWS storage bucket name. This is the bucket name that we just gave to the Spaces. And I think we called it Test Website. So that's my bucket, and that's what I'm going to be using. And this link, https nyc3digitaloceanspaces.com, this is the endpoint URL for DigitalOcean Spaces in New York region. You can also see it here, but without the name of your bucket. Now, as we have prepared all the environment variables, we need to save this bash.rc file. Let's close it, and then we need to source it. So it's source:/.bash.rc. So now all of those variables should be in our environmental variables. And then next, before getting to settings.py, in the same main app folder where you have settings.py, we need to actually create a file called storage_backends.py. And the contents of it will look something like this. Here we basically create the locations for static storage and for media storage. You can pause the video and copy all of it to create this file. The other thing also not to forget to do is actually to install our Django storages and Boto3. I think first I need to activate my virtual environment because it stopped during the sourcing of the bash.rc file. So now it's running, and here I need to pip install Django storages, and in square brackets it's Boto3. As I have already installed them in my pip, it's probably going to show that I already have them. And it says, yes, requirement already satisfied. But if you haven't installed it, it will probably run and install on your machine. Now in settings.py, which is also in the same folder, you need to specify our bucket configuration. Here, for instance, we need this AWS storage bucket name, which we can get from the environmental variables, and also AWS access key ID, which is our spaces key, and AWS secret access key, which is our spaces secret variable in our environmental variables. And the other thing is the endpoint URL, which is also in our environmental variables as AWS S3 endpoint URL. Here we also set the object parameters just to improve the performance. And now the next 4 lines are actually to set up our static URL and media URL to our DigitalOcean Spaces bucket. Here you will just need to change the main app name where I have called tech. This part right here will be different for you because your app name will be your own. But the rest of it should be basically the same. And then for static URLs, we both have the bucket name, which we got from our environmental variables, and the endpoint URL, which is also from the environmental variables. Later on, if you want to set up your CDN, you can change the static URL and media URL to your CDN URLs. So in our case, it will be test website nyc3 cdn digitaloceanspaces.com/static or /media. And you can use these 2 lines instead of media and static URLs to change to using the CDN. Also make sure that you comment out your local media route and media static route, and this is how you configure your settings.py. Save your changes, and now we can actually run collect static, and all the static files will be saved on our DigitalOcean Spaces bucket. So what we need to do is type in python manage py collect static, and this should work. Next, type yes. Alright, now it shows that 1,446 static files copied, and they should be in our bucket. If you go back to DigitalOcean and to our Spaces object storage and go to the test website, we see that there is a static folder created, and within this folder you'll see your CSS and JS files, etc., etc. Basically everything that you had in your static folder on your local machine. Now notice that media files are not actually copied into our bucket. We actually have to do it by ourselves because collect static does not copy media files into the bucket. So here I prepared a code for uploading our media folder into our bucket. Make sure that you have the proper region name and endpoint URL, and then specify your bucket name. You can pause this video and just copy this code to do it yourself. To run this file, I type python upload bucket py and then -- bucket and the name of our bucket. It shows that everything has been uploaded now, and we can go back to our Spaces storage and see if media has been uploaded. It shows that media has been uploaded, and it looks like everything is working okay. Now that we have pushed it over there, we can also test if our website is actually running. So I run python manage py run server, and I go to the local host, and it looks like everything is working. Each of those pictures are actually from my media folder, which is connected to the Spaces bucket. I could sign out and then sign up by creating a new user just to check. And okay, everything seems to be working all right, and this is it. This is how you use DigitalOcean Spaces to store all your media and static files for your Django applications. See you in the next video. Bye!